called up already to the major league level with the club they're with. Just don't know. But, the Mets went off in the offseason and signed some veteran players, Robbie Cano, Lowry, who've been injured or simply not performed. And so the Mets could be looking to get younger at some of these positions. Of course, another team, San Diego Padres, could be interested in Zach Wheeler. They have a lot of youth. They just promoted Mackenzie Gore up to Double-A today, this afternoon. This is fresh off the press, Chappie. But these are all teams. And, of course, you've got the Central in the National League. The Reds, impressively, have pitched well, not hit so much, just the opposite of what we thought might be going on in Cincinnati. But they could use a Zach Wheeler, for sure. So there are a lot of teams who could be in the offing. The Oakland A's, they could use another arm. Luzardo's down. He was supposed to come back around this time. And then he has some type of grade 2 lat strain. They're saying now he's going to be shut down for 4 weeks. It's going to be maybe early August to mid-August before he's possibly in Oakland. And gosh knows, with everything that's happened to him so far this year, do you really count on him this year at all in Oakland? No doubt he can throw. He's got a 99-mile-per-hour fastball from a left-hander. Oakland could sure use that. But they don't have it now. It's like wishing, right? Open your hand. Wish. Which one fills up first? I won't use all the language, but you get where I'm coming. And so the A's certainly could be a player, and Houston could be a player. I heard also today, I want to get off Zach Wheeler because these are all potential trade partners for Wheeler. Another Minnesota. They could certainly use a starter. So, and Minnesota has players down at the minor leagues that the Mets could be very well interested in. Now, some players probably are untouchable. Kilwaya, the outfielder. So we'll see. I read today also this afternoon getting ready for the show that Houston is very strongly interested in Marcus Stroman. He's been also tied to the Yankees, of course. I think the Yankees are talking to everybody that can throw a baseball. But Houston is very interested in Marcus Stroman. Here you go. Garrett Cole, remember when he was with the Pirates? And remember that he was, above average, but not much. He goes to Houston, and all of a sudden he is a top-flight starting pitcher. Detroit was talking about trading Matt Boyd to Houston, but they want Kyle Tucker. It sounds like, from what I'm reading, Toronto's price for Stroman is not necessarily that high. And, as you know, Stroman sits with a 3.18 ERA. He's an all-star this year. He's pitched probably the best baseball of his career. He's shown to be very durable this year. So, is Houston, how close are they to Marcus Stroman? They are linked to him. This is not just something I'm coming up with. They're linked to him. So, if Stroman goes to Houston, that means Wheeler, of the teams that are in the race, may be next to go. Of course, Bumgarner, with his no trade discussion with almost every team in contention, but he has said recently he would accept a trade to the Yankees under the right circumstances. I assume that means he's going to get some extra cash on the side to sweeten that pot, right? But he's certainly on the move. And if the Giants move him, aren't they going to move Will Smith as well? And couldn't you see a package deal where Bumgarner and Smith go to a team and you could link him to the same? It's like the same teams would be interested in all these pitchers. Yankees, Red Sox. And then you look at the batting side of things. What team? There's so few teams that are out of it. Okay, let's look at the American League. Who are pretenders and not contenders? Well, in the American League East, you've got the Blue Jays and the Orioles. Okay? Alberto could be traded. That's a stick. Toronto probably not trading any players, batting-wise. Ken Giles is said to be on the trade market. Which teams are looking for bullpen help? Certainly Oakland could be one of those. Trinan has not played well all year. Been on the IL, I believe, 3 times. Something's not right with Blake Trinan. And their bullpen is not very deep. Ken Giles could be a perfect partner to go to Oakland for sure. But looking at teams that are out, those are 2, Baltimore, Toronto. The Central's full of them. Kansas City, they're out. Detroit, they're out. All right, so Detroit has Shane Green, one of the top closers so far in 2019. The Dodgers, Kenley Jansen just is not what he used to be. Maybe so many bullets have been fired out of that arm that it's just running low. But if there is an Achilles heel for Los Angeles, it's the bullpen. It's not the starting rotation. I mean, they pack 3 aces in their starting rotation. Ryu is an ace when healthy, and he's been healthy this year for the most part. Kershaw, probably the best pitcher in the last 10 years in Major League Baseball. And now Walker Buehler. So the Dodgers have the starting staff, but the bullpen, a little bit questionable. And a Green from Detroit could be what the doctor ordered for the Dodgers. Ken Giles could also be that for the Dodgers. I don't think LA is going to sit on their laurels. They've won 60 games now at the All-Star break. Almost unheard of, winning 60 or more games by the All-Star break. They've done it this year. They've done it with starting pitching, timely hitting, and an MVP-like season from Cody Bellinger. But the bullpen has been shaky, so I look for them to be in the market to trade, and Ken Giles could be what the doctor ordered. I don't see teams in their division dealing with the Dodgers. Will Smith possibly with the Giants, but again, do you really think the Giants want to give anything to LA that helps them win a World Series? And the Dodgers, as you know, I mean, they lost to Houston 2 years ago in 7 games. They lose to Boston last year. They've been on the cusp of winning a World Series. They've not won a World Series since 1988 and Kirk Gibson heroics. And it doesn't take much of a mathematician to know that that was 31 years ago. It's been 31 years since the Dodgers have won a World Series. They've got the players there now to do it. And so, what piece can they add? It's got to be a bullpen piece. And so you've got Giles as an option. In that, and Green as an option. Kansas City's closer. I don't have much confidence in him. But he's certainly done the job of late. And they're out of it. The White Sox, and here's another one I really like. Colomé. Now, I've talked about the Dodgers. Obviously, I've made a point. They need a bullpen arm. So do the Red Sox. I mean, the Dodgers, would be helpful. To the Red Sox, it's a necessity. If the Red Sox are going to challenge to repeat as world champs, they have got to improve their closer situation. Now, they have come out publicly and said when Eovaldi comes off of the IL, he is going to be in the bullpen. He is going to be their closer, and maybe that's so. But in the meantime, Alex Colomé for Chicago, having quite the season. 4th in the American League in saves. And the thing is, I like to look at teams who have dealt with other teams recently. Remember the Chris Sale trade? Remember Chicago trades Chris Sale, Makeda comes over, Kopech comes over. A trade that probably in the long run will benefit both teams, certainly help Boston short term. Without Sale, they don't win the World Series last year. But they've established that relationship. So could Colomé come over to Boston? Definitely. I've already talked about the fact that what the Red Sox mainly have to offer are young players at single A or at Double A. Maya, the pitcher who pitched in the Futures game last year, is at Single A, high Single A for Boston. Dalbec, Chatham. These are players that would be very much of interest to the White Sox in a trade for Colome. So there you go. You've got Ian Kennedy for Kansas City, Colome for the White Sox, Green for Detroit, Giles for Toronto. In the American League West, Seattle doesn't have a lot to offer relief-wise. Leclerc's really pitched pretty well this year, a left-handed starter. Seattle's already started dealing. They're not done. They're trying to get younger quicker. They're trying to shed salary. The problem is Domingo Santana may be it. What team needs a bat? What team needs a DH bat? Really, Santana not much of a left fielder. Come on. But Seattle is ready to trade. Other teams looking to deal. National League. Well, you look at the Mets in the East. Miami's already young. I don't see them trading much. Might they trade their second baseman, Starling Castro? I'm sure they would if they were offered something they could take. In the Central Division, everybody's in it. Iglesias, though, just hasn't seemed to fit this year with the Reds, has he? And he's got a 2-7 record and a above 4 ERA. And so might Cincinnati be interested in dealing Iglesias? I think they'd be more than interested in doing it. And yet there's another potential closer out there. So what I'm saying is, and I'm sure you're following me, there are several closing options available to contending playoff teams. It's a matter of who can you work the deal with the best and who can you give up the least to get these guys. Jack Youngblood says, I have 3 closers with healthy: Chapman, Green, Eovaldi. Who do I deal for some power bats? Well, probably Green. Because to get a good power bat, Jack, you've got to give up somebody who's somewhat established. I don't think you want to trade Chapman. Yankees are going to win a lot of games. He's going to get a lot of saves. Green, he's going to get saves because he's probably going to get traded, and Eovaldi's still hurt. I'm not trading you a power bat for Eovaldi. I'd love to have Chapman. If you believe in Eovaldi enough with Boston, then you could trade Chapman. Chapman's going to get you a better bat. I guess my question would be, check your waiver wire. Tell me, is there a bat on the waiver wire? I'm in a league. I couldn't believe it. Renfroe was on the waiver wire. I grabbed him this afternoon. I could not believe he was on the waiver wire. 24 home runs. He may get traded. And then Mark also asked me, do the Giants deal with the Dodgers? Smith? I just don't see it happening. I think the Dodgers would have to really overpay to induce the Giants into a trade. Don't you? I just don't see it happening. So the Dodgers, I've given you a list of potential closers that they may go and get. But I tell you another trade, and I like talking about historical trade partners. Remember in the offseason, the Dodgers and the Reds worked out that trade, Puig and Kemp, and all went over to Cincinnati. Do you think there's one more bullet in that gun? Do you think they trade for Iglesias? Iglesias comes over to L.A., a new setting, a new environment, that stadium. The Dodgers, I think I heard this right. I think I read it right. 34-12 at home this year. It's like they play at Dodger Stadium. It's like a fortress. You said Howie Kendrick is on your waiver wire but doesn't play every day. That's true. He's not going to play every day. And I wonder about the second half, Jack, if Kaboom coming up, and you're more local to that than me. You may have read more than me. But my impression from what I'm reading is Kaboom is coming up. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And put Kaboom in that infield mix And doesn't that cut further into